What do you think it means to say it's all gravy?
Cool. It's all cool. It's all chill. It's all chill.
Where do you think that came from?
I don't know. I feel like I've heard it on a sitcom somewhere.
A sitcom?
Thanksgiving, to be honest.
You're making the most intense eye contact with me.
My bad. I'm in deep thought.
You know, it's from like a rapper, you know, Young Gravy. It's like,
Nope.
Yeah. You're half right.
Thanksgiving?
No, not Thanksgiving. You're right about it meaning that like everything's good, but it came off of Young Gravy and Gravy
Oh,
Train.
okay.
Yeah.
I
Young
can see
Gravy's
that.
a rapper for those who do not know.
Hi, I'm Sky.
I'm Sarah.
Yes. And we're going to talk about joy today. So
Yeah,
we're going to
we're
start
really
off.
glad, joyful to be here with all of you.
To be recording
That's why
a Teen
she's
Talks.
spinning.
This chair makes me very joyful.
It gives you
Like,
joy.
I just want to say,
Here's your joy.
I love a good
Mhm.
spinny chair.
And I love talking about scripture and what Jesus has done with teenagers. So actually you doing this with me brings me joy.
Oh my god. Makes
So-
sense why you're a pastor. That makes a
You
lot
know,
of sense.
I remember one of the games we were playing where I asked a question like, where do you think I'll be in 10 years? And Miranda writes, doing exactly what you're doing now and still being a pastor because you love it so much. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah.
You're probably right.
That's it. I hope that's like a prophetic thing on my life because the thought of continuing to do the same thing gives me joy.
That's cool though, that you found something you enjoy that much.
Right?
To continue doing it.
I mean, that is the hope, but how many
Yeah.
people hate their jobs? And I'm like,
a lot of people hate their job. Yeah, so
I love my job.
I'm glad.
Was that
Oh my
creepy?
God.
We're
Oh,
creepy.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Oh my God.
She's just passionate. She's a very driven woman.
Very, very
Yeah.
joyful.
Very.
Maybe joy is creepy because it's so not.
What we're used
Normal
to.
or-
yeah.
yeah.
Because everyone's sad most of the time.
It's like trendy.
I know.
To
That's
be
what
emo.
I feel like. That's the thing that really annoys me about society right now is because I feel like all of the negative stuff, escapism in general, and just all these maladaptive stuff is just super glorified, and it's just annoying. That was very much a tangent, but
No, but that makes sense, and and I would say that's actually one of the reasons that Christianity should be countercultural.
right, exactly.
There should be something about this that we have some hope, some joy that's different than culture.
right.
Maybe that makes us look creepy and weird, but joyful.
Yeah, exactly.
We've done it. The joy makes us joyful,
The joy
but
makes us joyful.
really, it should make us stand out in a good way.
Yeah, because I feel like it's underrated. It's underrated to just find power in something else other than yourself.
Sure.
Which I feel like.
And even to look for the good.
Exactly. We focus on so much.
We get laughed at for being naive or Pollyanna,
Right.
too innocent. It's
Yeah.
well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Philippians 4:8 where it tells us whatever is true, whatever is noble, and right,
Exactly.
pure, lovely. How did you say third?
It's we were memorizing a verse, so I came up with an acronym. It's THRPLA. So it's
THRPLA.
true, honorable.
Noble.
True.
Oh.
No, honorable. It's
Honorable.
my translation.
Your translation
True,
is honorable.
honorable, right, pure, lovely, and admirable.
THRPLA.
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 In case you guys want to know.
Yeah,
Philippians
excellent and
4:8.
praiseworthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love some Bible verses.
But it's even something like that where it's challenging our minds to think about the positive, and that is very countercultural.
Right, exactly. I know definitely I fall into that where it's you just get in this rut and you're just thinking about all the bad things, and then you don't really fix it. You just kind of distract yourself, but not with necessarily positive things, but the
Watch
whole point
television,
is
sleep longer.
I know, but just to change your mindset to just think more positively, that's never bad. I don't think it's ever
And so this is Christianity. And
Right.
so do you want to read our verse for the day?
Yes. So our verse is Isaiah 61. Which verse is it? 61.
Verse 1 and then the first line
verse
of 2.
1. Okay, yeah. So verse 1, it is the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the days of vengeance of our God. So, and to comfort all of those who mourn. So I think that's...
And you can just keep going because it's going to keep saying good things.
You literally can. It's...
Yeah.
God's just cool.
Yeah, and some of those things really stood out to me, like the idea of the release of prisoners.
Yeah.
And I have a complicated history with the justice system, not personally, although I did used to work at juvenile hall. So I saw people who deserved their punishment, and I saw people who didn't. And I saw people who took their punishment and they learned from it and they reformed them. And then I saw other people who they would be released and then they'd come back. So it's a little bit... I'm conflicted because on one hand we're like, oh, release of prisoners, and if you think, oh, in an unjust system, of course we're thrilled about it. But if we actually see that, hey, there is justice because there's certain things that are wrong that people do deserve punishment for, we don't necessarily want them to be released.
Yeah, there's some bad people in the world who, you know, it's better if they were in prison, which is like, I know people are like, oh my God, that's unkind to say, but like, it exists for a reason. It exists for a reason because there's people who will do evil things, and I think we don't necessarily,
and there have to be consequences for that.
Exactly, there should
be.
So
then you have God come in, and this is like the extent of his grace, because he knows all those things. And I think that's the other difference, where it's like we fight for the release of prisoners because we think they really didn't do it, or they didn't deserve the consequences to be that harsh. Jesus is like, yeah, I know all that,
and he's still fine with that,
and or you're still gonna get another chance.
Exactly.
I don't know that.
Well, it's not like fine. I don't think he's saying like, oh yeah, go do that stuff. But I mean, like, he still will see you as, like, he won't let your worst mistake define you. He's still gonna give you the opportunities to have another chance, another shot at your life, which is like something that I feel like a lot of people don't get. When you make a huge mistake and get a life sentence, you're not getting another chance at that. Like,
and you hear, like, you read stories of people who find Jesus in prison, and it changes their lives, and it doesn't mean they're released necessarily, but it could be that their whole attitude changes. They somehow, it's like they find this joy, even as they're serving out their sentence.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what really shows like true faith, because there's no benefit for them to believe in God. Like, it's not like they're gonna get out of prison. I mean, there's a benefit in the spiritual sense.
The everlasting life. But it's like, hey, this moment no longer defines me. This is not the end of my story. It's just a chapter.
It's acknowledgement for yourself that, like, hey, you know, I'm gonna believe in someone who believes in me, you know? So, because God will reinvest in you no matter what you've done.
And one of the things that I know we were observing earlier when we looked at this passage is where it talks about the year of the Lord's favor, is kind of pointing back to this Old Testament concept of Jubilee.
I love that name.
That's true.
It's a really pretty name.
Yeah. Do you know anyone named Jubilee?
I know a superhero named Jubilee.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, she lets little sparkles come out of her fingers and it explodes stuff. It's cool.
Okay.
I'm a comic person,
that's cool. I don't know that one.
So
what world is she in?
X-Men. It's like, it's Marvel.
Yeah, no, the X-Men was the third movie where everyone died, and I just kind of gave up on them.
The movies are bad. The cartoons, I love the cartoons.
All right, but everyone doesn't die in the cartoons?
No, not everyone does.
Okay, so some movie makers, why they do things like that?
They always do stuff like that, though.
In the Bible, the idea of Jubilee is that every 50 years, there's this giant reset. So if your family owned property and you lost it because of mismanagement or flooding or, you know, you had a debt of some sort, at the end of the 50 years, you get your family inheritance back. And it always resets every 50 years. Now, the reality is we don't know that this ever happens.
It's a nice
but
concept.
the idea was that you would continue to get chance after chance. The other thing that was neat about the system is, say you don't know how to farm, you don't know how to like work the land or manage it well. So you sell your property, which isn't really selling it since you get it back in 50 years. I mean, that's half a lifetime, so that's still a big consequence. But, or however many years are left until Jubilee. So, but in a way, it's almost like you're giving a long-term lease that you can't break. I suppose, I mean, in theory, I guess you could buy it back, but
assuming you couldn't.
Assuming you couldn't. And then you still need a job and a place to live, so you hire yourself out to the new property owner, and you work for them, and you learn how to manage the property, how to run a farm or raise livestock, and then when you get your land back, you now have the set of skills to be able to keep it this time around and actually like make it work for you.
It's another opportunity. I feel like that's very similar. Like nowadays, it's like you go to college and get all your student like debt forgiven or something like that.
That would be nice.
That'd be really.
have a lot of student debt.
You're
about to have a lot of
student
student
debt. Oh, but yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
or your house gets taken away for some reason and
Right.
it gets given back like after 50 years. Like, I'd wait 50 years. That'd be great.
Sure.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, and you see it with people who are waiting for immigration paperwork to come through.
Exactly,
and I know a while back, everyone was just basically granted mass legal status.
Yeah.
And there's things that's like we see it and we get a glimpse of what Jubilee is sort of like.
Right.
In the book of Revelation, and I really love this because, well, Revelation is weird, so I don't necessarily love the whole book so much.
Specific
I know, I'm a
part.
pastor. But in chapter 21, verse 5, there's this verse that just always really stands out to me.
Mhm.
And it's right at the end. And like,
Mhm.
you know, heaven and earth have come together and everything is
Right.
perfect. And the one who sits on the throne, who is God, says, "Behold, I am making everything new."
That's awesome.
And just that phrase gets
Mhm.
me, it gives me joy. It's just like
Yeah.
that picture. It's just like evokes so much in my imagination of like,
Mhm.
well, what could that look like for everything to
Right.
be made new?
Because we have so much stuff that's broken that needs to
We
be
do.
made new. And I feel like in society, we're always looking for that next new thing. And to
Right.
have everything be new and better and the best that it possibly could be because it's God, like,
Yeah.
that's an amazing concept. Like, that's so awesome.
Yeah, and you had said earlier when we were talking that so often in life, like we get a chance to try better
Mhm.
or like kind of make the best of a bad situation. Maybe
Right.
you rebuild trust or
Yeah.
you get a second chance doing something, but this is different. This is like a complete fresh start.
Yeah.
It's like you get the past is wiped,
Right.
everything's new.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I feel like that's what people struggle with the most is we let our past mistakes like really define us, and it's sometimes really hard to move away from those mistakes because they have consequences on our lives, and God gives us the opportunity to really start new, and that's why it's important to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
To be responsible. Full disclaimer, I told her not to climb the tree.
I'm gonna be fine.
It just also, wow. Okay, how about you climb the tree and I hand it to you? How about that? How about that?
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think
let's
that's
have that
better.
after this.
Yeah.
You have no faith in me.
I'm in the kitchen now. She's vlogging.
Wow. Wow. I love middle schoolers. I love them so much.
Instagram photos with my dumplings.